You can fire me. I'm not coming to jobs. I'm playing golf.
I don't know my ass from a hole in the ground. You have to be smarter than the TV.
Continue with the next
Sometimes you have to be smarter than a Ziploc
Why do you
bag.
need all that? That's like if you showed up to play softball on my team and you wore jeans, you weren't playing.
Yeah.
I'd rather have you with no pants on. I want to be Hank Floyd.
Hank Floyd. We need Hank Floyd here in town to clean up our city council.
Oh, he would. Trust me. Yes, hello. Here we are again after a brief respite, timeout. If we had to take an adult timeout, we are back here at the beginning of November. Literally, it's the first day of November.
Yes, it is.
Back.
All Saints Day, the perfect day to be back.
Ah, yes. Season 3. We're calling it Season 3, right? I mean, and there may be a different studio look moving forward, but today it's Gamble and Fin's Larger Than Live, Season 3, Episode 1.
Well, there already is a different look, and you didn't even notice it.
I did. I did.
I put back all the books. These are just the notes that we've taken on things that we're going to gripe about this season.
Did a nice job of that, putting that back. Yeah, well,
I think this is half of it. And then I also, if you didn't even notice, that Bob Ross is facing the other way now. So we've made massive changes to the set at the beginning of what may be many.
Well, if those are our notes, hope you don't have anything else to do in the holiday season, which, you know what? Based on what you can actually go out and do today, you might not.
Absolutely.
So anyway, it's Larger Than Live. It's each and every Monday. And don't forget, this Thursday, we are on again, 700 WLW, the reality check from 9 to midnight. My favorite time to do a show. Would have it no other way. In fact, we've chosen this to do each and every Thursday. But we got lots to get to in a short period of time today. Yesterday was Halloween. Yesterday was NFL Sunday. Big weekend of stuff, all kinds of nonsense going on. I'll allow you to start things.
All right. Well,
where would you like to start?
And there's a couple of different things.
Oh, yeah. We got to tell people some things, too.
With a couple of things. Yeah. We're obviously, one of the big things is we're going to be migrating off of Facebook and getting over to YouTube. Meta. Yeah, Meta.
Whatever.
I never met a piece of information I didn't sell. I never met a... whatever. Anyway,
it's crushing me to go away from Facebook.
It's driving me nuts, isn't it?
In fact, I couldn't sleep at all last night.
Somebody will explain to you what YouTube is a little later, and we'll give
That's
you an
where you have
opportunity.
videos, right?
Yeah, you can actually comment, I believe, there as well. But we're going to move off of the Meta, platform. A couple of other things. Thanks again to our friends at the Fueled Collective. They've got a lot of changes going on as they get into the fall and into the winter season there in Rookwood. If you're looking for office space but don't want a whole office, they're the right place to go. But just a couple of things, because I talked to my mom on the way over here today, and I had a laugh. She went out and got her turkey for Thanksgiving yesterday because she was afraid she wasn't going to be able to get one.
Well, which is a legitimate concern, I believe.
Not really. I hate turkey anyway. It doesn't matter. But I'm just not one of those traditionalists where it's like, oh, we better get one and freeze it for 26 days or we're not going to be able. Anyways, whatever. I don't even know why I told you that. I did have something else happen to me on the way over here that I know happens to you all the time, but we'll get to that later. I want to start with the Bengals.
Okay.
And this is the thing.
Really?
That
Do
I've
we
noticed.
have to?
I absolutely want to.
Okay. All right.
And here's why. I watched yesterday because I went to Roosters so I could see this Bengals game and the Steelers game at the same time. And something struck me. Roosters typically not even full on a Bengals game day. It was packed yesterday. Yeah. All the people hoo-day singing their songs, hear the Bengal growling mean and angry, like they'd been there the entire time. They clearly had not. Right. I'm up there almost every Sunday. Those people showed up at it. But this is what's so funny. I watched the targeting hit. The one that people are calling the worst call they've ever seen in their entire life. You know why you think that? Because now it matters to you. The number of teams that has happened to time and time again, the number of bad calls that have been, and I've had my share as a Steeler fan. You've had your share as whatever, whoever your team is at any given time. But the only reason it matters to the level it does is now because your season actually matters and these games matter to you. I can't tell you the number of times I've been told, shut up, only losers blame the officials, blah, 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 by people who like a team who doesn't matter. They're not involved. But now that it's starting to matter, now all of a sudden that's the worst call anyone's ever seen. And that kind of thing has got to stop.
See, but I have a different approach to that. See, I don't even care about the call because if you're going to contend for a division title and an AFC championship shouldn't come down to that.
Shouldn't be in that position to begin with.
You're
Correct.
playing against the New York Jets, who were down to a guy who I think had been signed to practice squads up and down double-digit numbers of times, Mike White, who kudos to him.
Western Kentucky.
Western
White.
Kentucky.
Yeah.
But at the end of the day, the Bengals still, despite not playing well from the outset, they still led by double digits. They still had a chance to close out the game. Again, these are the New York Jets. How about the fact that he threw for 400 yards?
Yeah.
The last Jet to do so was Vinny Testaverde in 2000. This is a passing league now.
Well,
the Bengals just honestly, they weren't very good. But I'm going to point out the issue that I have with the Bengals. And if they don't fix this, look, Joe Burrow's still outstanding. You're going to have a mistake here, mistake there. Tom Brady made mistakes yesterday, somewhat uncharacteristic for him. You have to be able to run the ball better than the Bengals are running it consistently. When they showed those halftime statistics, the Bengals had 11 yards rushing. You can't win like that.
Well,
consistently.
And don't confuse a running game with short little flare passes out to Mixon or out to Perrine or whatever, and then having them rumble and stumble and bumble for 25 yards. That's not a running game.
No, it's a good way to use. It's an extension of the running game, but you have to be able to line up and run the football at some point in time.
Well, and that's where, if you notice with the Steelers, they've started to, even though I'm sure they don't want to, they're running Najee Harris a lot more just to be able to do other things. And that's a lot of reasons why you run guys. But, you look last night at the Dallas game. It was just, and I saw Golick talking about this morning. He goes, there's an execution, there's a strategy, and then there's just a want it. And they just wanted it more. When he was barreling through the line, Zeke, he wanted to get through those tackles.
I'm not going to pay. If you're a Bengals fan, there's no reason to get all up in arms. It's a game that they should have won. The Jets aren't very good, right? But think of it this way, Ralph. The Bengals going into these three games, at Detroit, at Baltimore, at the Jets. Anybody would have said you take 2 or 3. Mm-hmm. Obviously, it was a different 2 of 3, but they still did that. They're still 5-3.
Right.
They've got the Browns, who are not playing good football, who are hurt, but playing poorly, coming here. If they could win that game and head into the bye week 6-3, anybody would take that.
But yesterday I saw it again. And I'm talking more again about the fan behavior than I am the play on the field. But I saw people already giving up. Oh, here we go again. Just when I start to have faith in them, they do this. Everybody shits the bed once in a while. That doesn't mean they are a bad team. The defense didn't live up to the standard that it had been playing
you're right.
here previously. And the defense was the difference maker up to this point in the season.
Well, and yesterday, if you're going to be disappointed at anything, be disappointed at the defense. Because against a Jets offense, that has been woeful. Let's not forget, a week earlier, they all lost by almost 50 to New England. 50.
Right. But that's where I go back to. It's not the play on the field. Again, I think the team is going to be okay. It's the fan base that just drives me nuts, because all I've ever heard is you can't blame the refs. You can't blame the refs. Let me ask you this, Fred. How many Super Bowl championship rings have the referees ever won? None.
No,
they've never lost any either. The referees do not win and lose the game for you. That was not a season-changing call. It's a call that happens against. Okay, let me ask you this: should that have been roughing the passer on Chris Boswell? Did you see that shot off to the side?
No. And I tell you what, in the Saints Buccaneers game, did you watch much of that?
Yeah,
there were a couple roughing the passer calls that clearly were not. You can debate the semantics of calls all you want. Two things for me yesterday, and I'm going to segue into what I told my boys watching football, and this is where you'll be determined if the Bengals are a pretender or a contender. So there were 3 games yesterday. I told my sons, I'm like, all 3 of these teams playing at home are going to lose. The Colts, the Falcons, and the Chargers. And they're all, you're negative. I said, because they're losers. They're losers.
Yeah.
Carson Wentz, I'm sorry, I like the dude. He's a loser.
I'm surprised you didn't lump the Vikings in there, too.
Matt Ryan. Yeah. Don't forget Matt Ryan, the Super Bowl squander. Now, granted, you can blame that on the Falcons' defense, that miserable comeback by the Patriots, all that. And I'm sorry, the Chargers. I know it's Justin Herbert. It was Phillip Rivers previously. And guess what they all 3 did? They lost. Now, that's where I don't think Joe Burrow and the Bengals are. They're not losers. But now they've got to come out and prove against Cleveland. Okay, forget about the Jets game. Cleveland's coming to Paul Brown Stadium. Now we'll see what we're made of. If you win that and go 6-3, you're still up at the top of the division. You're in pretty good shape. But if you lose to Cleveland, then you kind of got to go, uh-oh.
Well,
not yet.
Look at the compression in the AFC North that happened just yesterday.
Correct.
Like this.
Yeah.
And I think, like I said, I think the Bengals are going to be okay. I really do. And it kills me to say that. I don't think the Steelers are fixed. They've won 3 in a row. Do I think they're fixed? No. I still think they've got massive problems.
They're not fixed, but the one thing about Pittsburgh is even last year.
They know how to fix
Pittsburgh
it. They just have to do it.
They weren't 12-0 last year, but they were. I mean, and I think that's the difference of teams that always seem, even when they don't look very good, to be there, and those who do not. Now, I can fix your problem. I can. See, there's one thing you do that I don't pay any attention to fans. You could tell me what fans say, what they do, and I would just go, okay. Because largely, fans are idiots. Again, I'm sorry. Look at the stands at games. Forget yesterday it was Halloween. If you're an adult and you're wearing a costume or you're dressed up, and you're in some kind of mask
face paint or
some kind of paint or a wig or a shield or whatever. Maybe I'll give some to the black hole because that's kind of the persona over the years. But if you are 21 or above, if you are of legal alcohol consumption age and you dress up for any sporting event, you're a loser.
Really? You don't even like Captain Obvious?
That's the most ridiculous. I mean, what is that?
It's a guy that somebody told,
well, I can tell you
look like Captain Obvious. So
right.
I was like, okay, I'm going to do this.
Well, I can tell you what Captain Obvious has been before this year. The team sucks. Now they don't. And to their credit, they don't. And it'll be interesting. But you know what? I think this is where you find out a lot about your football team. How do you react to this?
Well,
how do you respond to this?
And we talked about parlays earlier as it pertained to Las Vegas. But I will say this, and you and I talked about this, and I'm glad we have an opportunity to do this here on Monday instead of having to wait for Thursday. Somebody in the Bengals organization, I'm not sure who, is starting to get it. And when you're talking about going out to the high school games.
Yeah, they were out at our Skyline Chili Crosstown Showdown game. Houday was out there. They were giving you a chance, Fred, to win club seats to the Steelers game, and they're doing some cool stuff.
Exactly. And the you may joke about the Tigers with the blowing the steam or the fog or whatever when they come around, but somebody there has started to figure it out. And I don't know who it is. But kudos to you for figuring out that the fan experience is worth now that they want to come back. Yeah. It's worth holding on to and it's worth cultivating. But I would say somebody has figured it out, even on their social media to a degree. Yeah. But I don't. And I think they're going to be okay. And I think that the Burrow-Chase relationship, as long as it remains healthy, will be big for a number of years, 6, 7, 8 years.
I felt bad for him yesterday, though, because to their credit, to pony on what you just said, they actually had an updated spot during the Buccaneers-Saints game, which is what they should have been doing. But, I mean, they had video. They had footage from the win over the Ravens, and I thought, oh, boy. And that's, you know what? You can't – the people doing that made a good decision to do it. Unfortunately, that's the one thing about when you're in the office in some sort of marketing and promotion. The one element you have no control over is the success or failure on the field. But nonetheless, I still think – but we'll find out. I mean, this is a great – if you're going to be good – and you want to go in the right direction, you're going to be tested like this. How you respond will show which way you go.
Well, and I'll get back to the Bosworth thing here in a minute because it leads to another question I have about just in general the officiating. But I do want to thank the Bengals because they knocked about 75 people out of my survivor pool yesterday.
So now listen, we talked. Well, think about this. We talked about. I'm your advisor.
I told you I wasn't going to pick them because they'd screw me the minute I did, and
So I gave you 3. I gave you Bengals and Seahawks, who won handily over the woeful Jaguars.
Right.
And you selected, and this is the one that I think that I liked is the Chiefs tonight against the Giants. I mean, but this goes to show you. That's why I still will stick to my theory. Never take a team ever on the road.
Yeah.
Never. Just because if the team's going to get a little giddy up, they're going to get it at home, not on the road. The Jets are awful. Think of who the Jets have beaten. They've beaten Tennessee, which right now
That's
is
weird.
probably the hottest team in the AFC, and they beat the Bengals, which previously might have been going into yesterday the hottest team.
All right,
How about
so let's
that?
talk about, and again, by way of reset, Gamble and Finn, Larger Than Live. This is season 3, episode 1. Arbitrarily chosen, but we took a little break, so here we are. We're looking to change up the set here in Studio G a little bit, so you have that to look forward to. And also, if you're looking for us on Facebook/Meta, you won't find us there probably. A promo maybe, but come looking for us at our YouTube page. Yeah, so we'll be there, but it'll be whatever.
I'll be working on that all day.
Yes, I can tell. His fingers
And
to
night.
the bone.
Yes.
To the bone. So, officiating. Yesterday, there were a couple of roughing the passer calls that had no business being called roughing the passer calls.
Yeah.
And then there were a couple that could have been personal fouls that weren't called. So I think they're still trying to figure that out.
Yeah.
But that hit on Bosworth, he just got launched and ended up with a concussion. Now, it's not roughing the quarterback, it's roughing the passer, and he was a passer. Should that have been roughing the passer, launching him out of bounds like that?
Here's the one thing I can tell you about. I think there is some of the ones that are in the quarterback, any movement, even a grab or anything around the helmet, face mask, they're just calling that. And that's when they show, and that's the thing people have to realize. And look, I'm not, some officials, I've never understood the official who's literally like staring right at a guy inbounds, out of bounds, and makes the incorrect call. But I will tell you, it's so fast. Some of these dudes, I mean, they've been doing it. It's not an easy job. I can tell you one time, I thought I would try and officiate a junior high basketball game, right? We've all been in the stands, bitch, and that was traveling. That was a foul. Let me tell you, until you do it, until it's right in front of you and you got that whistle and it's really hard. It is really hard. And I don't get all, if there's something in baseball that's horrendously egregious, but don't forget, instant replay is supposed to fix it. And I hope we don't get to the point where we're going to review, was that or wasn't that? You can't do that.
Think about this too. Yesterday, I forget what game was on. It might have been the Seattle game where there was a play on the end line and did the knee touch or they were literally, I think I timed it, it was 7 minutes that they wasted trying to figure out on a play where the next play would have been right across the line or whatever.
Right.
So, but go back to the history of the NFL. With the kind of replay that we have now, there would be no immaculate reception.
Correct.
There would be so many great plays that were made. Some of those catches in the end zone by the 49ers.
No question.
There's so many of those that would have been nitpicked to death, and some of the greatest plays upon which the foundation of the NFL has been built for the excitement and what the game is would have been wiped out.
And that's kind of why I guess I subscribe to the theory if it's not it's not broken. I mean, it's not.
Right.
Are there slight flaws that could be fit? Yes. But you could say that about anything. You could say, I don't know. I just leave the game alone.
All right, well, let me ask you this,
Yes.
because you know my feeling about the term touchdown. You shouldn't be able to dive over the pile, reach the ball over, and then get thrown back to the 6-yard line. And because it crossed this vertical imaginary plane, that's a touchdown. That, to me, is not a touchdown. But why don't, because tennis has it and soccer has it, why isn't that their digital line or that where you see where the ball lands on the line, or if a ball makes it over halfway into a goal on a soccer game, how come that doesn't exist on the goal line for every?
Yeah, perhaps because my guess is, you know me, I'm certainly anything but a technological wizard. But my guess is if you have players on the goal line to and fro, offense and defense, the tennis ball is just one thing and it either is or isn't. You know what I'm saying?
But again, why isn't there just even a camera lined up right over?
Well, they kind of have. They have. Well, I mean, the networks have that.
They don't. Not straight over the line. Not. I mean, they got
a pylon
Walmart thing
cam
that
and the thing
flies
that
around
swings,
that thing. But I mean,
know.
there's not one that really just kind of sets that laser line on the goal line. Is it too many? You think it is too many body? Yeah, maybe. I don't know. Maybe it should just it should be an actual laser and saw everyone in half and see where the ball is. What's left of the ball? If it's laying in there, it's a touchdown.
Now, yesterday,
for a lot more recruiting.
I'd be remiss if I didn't ask you. Yesterday was Halloween, so did you? Now, what did you pass out candy?
I passed out at 5 and then got up at 6 to pass out candy. Yes, because I had a few too many
during the day.
Cocktails during the games. Yeah, I had a few.
Okay.
I actually then went out. Now I remember that I cut my grass beforehand so that it would be nice. I'd forgotten about that.
Yesterday between the
games and trick or treating, it takes me about 8 minutes to cut my palatial estate.
Okay, right, I got you.
So,
boy, I bet that's probably not a good kind of practice, though, right?
Yeah, probably me and sharp spinning blades probably weren't a great combination later in the afternoon.
But you had a couple hours, right?
Yeah, but we had
Okay.
we had a handful of kids, and the costumes were kind of shitty this year. There weren't.
Yeah.
I didn't see any Ted Lassos, which I thought I would. They were all on TV. Every anchor was a Ted Lasso.
Yeah.
I think we ran a poll on Twitter, by the way. The over under was 347, and most people took the over on that Ted Lasso sightings. But
okay.
I didn't see really any. I saw a couple of superhero, and they were all little kids or 15-year-olds. There were no like 9, 10-year-olds. I was sitting out drinking some bourbon, had a fire pit going, and playing some music like I always do. What did you do, Fred?
Watch football.
No, did you? You didn't even.
I came out. I mean, they set up. We set up on the driveway. Fidge was out there on a leash, and Fidge performed very well because she was getting treats. So she was. Yes. So we had the oldest came over. We had the 3 boys were hanging out. The lovely wife likes that out there. And I made appearances. But I'm not going to lie, that Buccaneers-Saints game was actually a good one. It was one worth watching.
Yep.
Yeah, despite the fact that Jameis Winston's knee about snapped in half.
Ooh, that was ugly.
It was when you see that, you know. And, of course, they were at Taysom Hill still coming back from a concussion. And so they had to throw in Trevor Siemian, who actually – did okay.
Yeah, he acquitted
and
himself
that was an
nicely.
off for the Buccaneers. But I'll tell you what, trust me on this one, they'll still be there in the end.
Oh, yeah.
The combination of Bruce Arians, who doesn't put up with nonsense, and Brady, who just had a little bit of an off game. And honestly, not having Gronkowski is a factor for the Buccaneers.
Did you see the statistics of the issues that Brady has with the Saints?
It's on.
Out of
What was
20
it?
interceptions, I think 7 of
yeah.
them. Yeah, that was
which
crazy.
is incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
And at the end of the game, he said, "Look, that's on me." And he wasn't just like, "I got to play better." He's like, "I got to throw it to the right guys." You know, it was kind of funny, but but there is only a certain amount of this that's on me that I can take anymore, because even the talk about the fake field goal with the Steelers and Tomlin, that's on me. They didn't do, it was a bad call. That's on me. But he says that just so they move on.
But I will tell you,
where is he held accountable for that?
But I will tell you this. The Buccaneers need to run the football. I'm telling you, look, I know it's turned into a throwing league. I get that. It completely has. But and Brady has good enough protection. He's rarely touched. Burrow, man, when he got up that one time, gingerly, you're thinking, uh-oh.
Yeah.
But I'm just telling you, if you want your quarterback to survive, you got to be able to run the ball. It's got to be a threat. You can't just hand it off to Fred and hand it off to Jim just to keep them honest. It has to be something that could turn into productive plays.
Yep. No doubt. Well, it was an interesting day all the way down the line yesterday. Teams that you thought were going to win that lost, and I get a lot of people got blown up in these. It's interesting first half of the season.
It's been a pretty. It is because if I had to ask you right now, give me a couple clear-cut favorites. Who would they? I'd still throw Tampa Bay. Just because they're the defending Super Bowl champs, Brady, all that. I guess you have to put Dallas in there. They've only lost once.
Right.
With Dak Prescott, who didn't play last night. They still went on the road and won. I guess you throw Tennessee in. I can't put Kansas City in there.
No.
Buffalo's weird. They lost to the Steelers week 1 at home. Yesterday, they were tied with the Dolphins at home, but yet they'll blow up. It doesn't. There really are not that many consistent teams.
And I would tell you that this segues perfectly into how we should wrap it up, and that is UC, because the coaches poll still has them at number 2.
Yep. So's the Associated Press.
Okay. So, but we talked about this last week. Are they really number 2? They didn't blow out who they should have blown out the way Oklahoma and Oklahoma State did, and so on and so forth. Now, certainly, Michigan State. Michigan doesn't hurt, and there's a lot of different things going on. But
here's my prediction: tomorrow night is the first release of the BCS rankings. Then it's weekly from there on out. I think UC will not be in the top 4.
Okay.
In the initial one, I think they'll be 5.
I think you're right.
I think they'll be 5. In any way, shape, or form. Georgia's obviously number 1, and I don't think, to be perfectly honest with you, I don't think anybody beats them in any game.
Yeah.
I think Georgia's up there. I think Oklahoma's up there because they're undefeated. I don't know what the order of 2, 3, and 4. I think Ohio State creeps back in. I know they weren't that impressive against Penn State. But I think Alabama. You still, when you look, and you have to ask yourself, if Alabama played UC, who wins? Alabama.
Right.
I mean, if you're going to be honest about it, and maybe Fred, maybe Michigan State, they're undefeated now. That'll shake itself out because Ohio State ends the regular season playing Michigan State, Michigan. Then you get the Big Ten championship game. I think the problem with UC, and you can deny this, and Luke Fickell does, says they don't pay attention to it, whatever. I think you have to. If you want to be in the playoff, you have to. You have to convincingly beat bad teams. Navy's now got 2 wins. Tulane has 1. I mean, they're bad teams. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry. Watch. Notre Dame plays Navy this week. Watch the score of that game. Right. I mean, and Notre Dame is helping UC if you follow that logic. And game day, ESPN College Game Day is coming here Saturday. They play Tulsa. Tulsa's horrific. I mean, they're bad too.
Okay, so who should be the guest predictor from Cincinnati?
Well, we have so many choices. Well, I mean, if this won't happen, you brought this up, and I think, if Pete Rose can play the first hand down at the Hard Rock,
he should absolutely be the guy. But they don't have the balls to do that.
No, they won't do that, and honestly, they probably can't.
No, they probably can't. Bootsy Collins.
Yeah, please not. It's going to be Nick Lachey.
It is going to be.
It's going to be Nick Lachey because he's a big UC fan.
Right. And they can get his wife as the package deal. They can get them both in there.
Oh, yeah.
Vanessa, what's her name? Vanessa. Is it Vanessa something?
Vanessa Lachey.
Vanessa Lachey.
I don't know.
Mrs. Lachey. His wife's name is Mrs.
Lachey. How about the winner? How about either Aftab or David?
Oh, that would be great.
By the way, I loved, you know me, I could care, I don't live in the city of Cincinnati, but I love, they're going to fix, Aftab, I believe it is going to fix the 3 C's. Did you see the 3 C's? Well, you can guess what.
Corruption, and corruption.
No, you're right. Corruption was the first.
No.
Give me the second one. A lot of it's been happening recently.
Crime.
And come on, Fred, it's never going away. Aftab's fixing it. The C word.
Oh, I can't say the one I'm thinking of. That'll never go away.
That's the one.
What?
He's fixing that, Fred.
What? My ex-wife?
Oh, no. No. CO.
Oh, okay.
You know.
Yeah.
So it's corruption, crime, and the CO word. There you go. And I've got to get on his website to see how he's fixing that, mind you.
Yeah,
but
okay.
Anyway.
Well,
it was funny. A friend of mine who goes, really? The mayor's name could be Aftab? And I said, Fred, you either get Aftab or you get a guy who was mayor 30 years ago, whatever it was.
Well, they're gonna bring David Mann out and use his eyebrows to put the end lines of the goals or the end zones. Now,
yes.
So yesterday I saw an ad for a guy that said, and he was a former police officer, and it said, keep so and so on city council. And I thought, and in other news, that guy's on city council. I didn't even know he was on city. I looked over at the list of city council. I'm like, I don't know. I didn't know who 9/10 of these people were.
Now I have a question.
Smitherman's the only one I recognize besides Mann.
Should you and I go down and hang out and cause some issues at College Game Day? Do we need to get down there with some signs and get behind? I mean, I know where they're going to do it. Do we go?
I will unfortunately be out of town, so I'll take one of these Skyline signs down there. Take one of the big 3-ways or something like that and do that. You could do that.
I actually think I will go because I want to see it. I want to see what they do on property. Right. You know, you see it on TV. It's obvious. It's made for television. I'd like to see it on property.
You know what? Well, and you know this as well as I do. Not as impressive in person. It won't be as impressive in person.
Well, because
as they make it look on TV, it just isn't.
Yeah, we have, but I mean, I'd still like to see it if it's morphed into. No, you're correct. You're correct because you're just in the background. Yeah. I mean, yeah.
Well, you look at it and you're like, that's it? How do they make that look so cool? Because it's not.
And they do.
Yeah.
No, they do really a great job. I thoroughly enjoy that's my Saturday morning.
Well, and I would tell you this too, and I put this up on my Meta page. The rivalry between Ohio State and Michigan, how it's carried over to the bands. Did you see the Michigan band is now doing those moving things and creating? Yeah. Did you see the new one?
No.
This is great because I guess they got completely trolled by Ohio State, but Michigan did one where they've got a big guy and he's out there throwing beer pong. They've got the people doing beer pong, and the first ball comes out and it's Ohio State ping pong ball and it misses, and then the Michigan ball goes in. And I'm thinking, well, that's classy, the beer pong during the halftime. But then Ohio State comes back and they've got one, and it's they're doing Sesame Street songs, and there's Kermit the Frog, and then he spreads out. And then they make this garbage can, and they've got 4 Ohio State logo opened up, Michigan logo, which didn't go over very well in the I don't think, in the stadium, and then 2 more Ohio State logos. And the Michigan one gets walked all the way down, and then somebody comes over and pulls the lid of the trash can off. There's Oscar the Grouch. They throw it in the trash and put the lid back on.
See, I love stuff. That stuff like
so
that's
good.
great. Now,
So
the guest picker, did you happen to see Bill Walton?
I did not.
He was absolutely unbelievable. Now, you got to help me out with this. So this past week,
They have subtitles?
this past week, it was a guy who was in The Hangover. And if you said his name,
Zach Galifianakis?
comedian, no. And I'll never.
Comedian? Oh,
Yes.
is it the Ken Jeong? Yeah.
He fired this line out, which was outstanding. He was very funny,
Yeah.
very good, and he said something about and he referenced his wife, whose last name is Ho,
Yeah.
right? And you should have seen. And he goes, "It's okay, ESPN. That's literally her last name."
Yeah.
And you should have seen the other dudes on the set. It was classic. But Walton was and this guy. They were both great. Because some of them they have on there, they really don't know what the hell they're even talking about.
Right.
Walton, oh my God. I mean, the dude is he's on another planet
Well, he always kind of has been.
for a variety of
Yes,
reasons,
he
I
is.
do
He
believe.
is.
But that's
Absolutely.
okay.
All right. Well,
Yeah.
we have hit our limit. We've probably hit yours as well. But season 3, episode
We're
1
back.
is in the books. Probably one of these up here. And we'll wrap this one up. We're going to be migrating to YouTube. Smash that subscribe button wherever it is, here or maybe it's over here. I'm not sure. You know where it is. You can let them know later. He's Gamble. I'm Finn.
And we are out.